Hello, this is Matt Bussey speaking. Who's calling, please? Just kidding. You know, The Iron Giant, 1999, great movie, animated movie, one of the last, hand-drawn, great animated movies. They gotta bring those movies back, man. The best. That's a line from the movie, of course. I don't really get what it means. I mean, I do, because Hogarth, the actor, or the character in the movie, always answers the phone like that, and for the longest time, I wanted to be named Hogarth. I saw Hogarth wearing army pants and flip-flops, so I bought army pants and flip-flops, and then I imitated him. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I'm Reviewing Here, a podcast where I, Matthew Bussey, watch and review science, sounds, top great movies of all time. Is it Cinco de Mayo today? Is it Cinco de Mayo today? Not Mayo. Cinco de Mayo? What do you do on Cinco de Mayo? Do you just, run a mile and eat? Oh, good. Well, this is a Spanish movie today, so that's why I was saying, is it Cinco de Mayo? Get it? Cinco de Mayo, great holiday. I have not celebrated it since 2016, I think. A buddy and mine, we just went out for drinks, and I don't even like tequila. I do not like tequila. Tequila tastes like sour milk. I don't like it. I've probably said that a million times already on this podcast, but hell to the no, man. Hell to the no. I don't know what's worse, that or the time I had 5 drinks of not tequila, rum, and I put 3 shots of rum in each drink and filled it up with Hawaiian punch, and then I ended up puking on my friend's scale, my friend's parents' scale, that is. Bad times, man. You know what, though? YOLO, no. You used to be YOLO, what am I trying to say? You were young once, so it's not YOLO, it would be yo-yo. You're only young once. Yeah, yo-yo. Why don't people ever say that anymore? Yo-yo. Yo-yo. Come on, that is so badass. Okay, if you're listening to this, which obviously you are and you've made it this far, I want everybody to go home and hashtag that right now. Not on X or whatever it's called. Go to, what's the new X called? The new Twitter called? Oh my god, it's been on for months now. Sewing? What's it called? Threads. Needle threads. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Okay, cool. Guys, I'm really, disturbed in an excited way to talk about this movie. It is a movie so surreal. It's so out there. And why do I love it? It makes you nervously chuckle. Which I always promise I'm going to talk about that more because that's kind of my thing, my fake production company is Nervous Chuckles, but I forget. But this movie will make you nervously chuckle and may even make you leave. It's not like a disgusting movie or anything like that. It is just a very surreal, out there, brilliant movie that I freaking loved. It is called The Exterminating Angel.
Por la deliciosa noche que nos ha ofrecido nuestra amiga Silvia, con su estupenda creación de la novia virgen de la Mermud.
Me van a perdonar si altero un poco el orden natural del menú. Vamos a comenzar con un guiso maltés, que según costumbre en la isla se sirve como hors d'oeuvre. Parece que abre el apetito. Hígado, miel, almendras y con una salsa muy especiada. Vuelva a llevarlo al jardín.
La señora me tranquiliza con esa medida, porque hay asuntos graves que requieren la inmediata atención de la señora.
¿Ocurre algo?
Suceden cosas muy extrañas.
Señores, peor que el pánico no hay nada. Una situación como esta no puede durar indefinidamente. No estamos encantados, amigos. Este no es el castillo de un brujo.
Mira allí. No, en la cumbre. ¿Lo ves? Él. Sí, él es. Qué lleno de majestad, qué solemne. Se diría un guerrero.
Huele usted a hiena.
¿Qué dice?
Que huele usted a hiena, señora.
¿Cómo se atreve?
Déjame en paz, señora.
Víctima. Saria, in nomine Patrica, Paragut, Patrica, ancora, Valentia, quando vuole che
What does it all mean? What does it all mean? Oh my god. I can't believe I just said that. No, that was accidental. I was not trying to say that, I swear. I'm just kidding. I was walking the dog today and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I tried to say, like, what does it all mean, but like in a British accent? Like, what does it all mean? And it's so stupid. What does it all mean, though? What does the exterminating angel mean? Well, obviously you don't know because unless you speak Spanish, of course, just from listening to that. But wow, the exterminating angel. Essentially, I mean, here's the big plot of this film. There's a group of rich people, bourgeois people, bougie people, blah blah blah. They're not the nicest people. They're all really stuck up, and all they care about is money and sex and eating posh dinners with a lot of wine. But they're at this party, and they suddenly find that they can't leave the party. Like they literally cannot leave the house. But what do you mean, Matt? I don't know. They just can't leave. But what's stopping them? I'll get into it a little bit, but essentially, overall, though, we don't know. Now, I first saw this premise in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 6. It was 2003, I think, and I had a half day because I think it was snowing or something. And my sister and I did not watch Buffy, but there was an episode on. And this was, the episode was like literally this. Now, they're not rich on the show, but, the episode is about how Buffy and her friends are having a birthday party for her, and they, stay up all night, and then the next morning, they can't leave. Now, why do I love this premise so much? Because it's so, like, ridiculously weird, but also like terrifying. Imagine that you literally try to go to your door and you cannot open it. Like there is like a literal invisible wall blocking you and you cannot do it. It's like a spell. In Buffy it is a spell. But in this movie, you never really find out what it means. And it's just such a scary, very claustrophobic premise, and it's surreal. It really is surreal. This is like a nightmare, We can't explain our nightmares, and that's why this movie, doesn't really have a lot of explanations. And I obviously when I saw Buffy, I did not know about this movie, because that was eons ago, but I remember in Midnight in Paris, they referenced this movie, and then there was this other Woody Allen movie called Rifkin's Festival where they also spoof this in a scene. There's a scene, everybody's at dinner and they can't leave. So this movie is really a big hit in the film director, I don't like to use the word cinephile because it rhymes with, yeah. But it's a really big hit in that community. People really love this movie. I loved it too. I mean, I kind of already said that, but I do love it too. Now, I also need to mention that this is a movie by Louis Buñuel. Who was Louis Buñuel? Oh me, oh my. This is one of the most famous directors of all time. He was a Spanish director. He made films in Spain and Mexico and France. He is there's a movie coming up that I'm gonna talk about. It's a short movie. It's called Un Chien Andalou, and the English title is An Andalusian Dog. An Andalusian Dog. Andalusia doesn't exist. That's an Enchanted, that Amy Addams movie. I'm sorry. Yeah, he did that. He's done a lot of other movies. He's really into surreal, macabre, ridiculous films. Really just absurd films. Films that make you nervously chuckle. Sometimes. But his movies have a lot of political allegories in them. His movies are a little critical of politics as well. There's a little bit of that. A little bit of commentary in his films. And I think he's a genius. Now, this is crazy. It's crazy that I'm saying this. This is only the third movie of his that I've ever seen. Why? I don't know, you guys. I really, really don't know. He did a movie called Belle de Jour with Catherine Deneuve, who I absolutely love. The Young Girls of Rochefort, great episode, great movie. Go back and listen to it. She's in it. She was gorgeous in that movie. He did a French movie called Belle de Jour with her that I remember seeing years and years ago through the mail on Netflix. And then An Andalusian Dog, of course, I saw because we had to watch that in college like so many times. It's insane. Sorry, Instagram. Yeah, the beep was the Instagram. But yeah, great director. Really, really just one of a kind director. And I love him because I think this is a total compliment. I feel like he was a crazy director, and I'm here for it. You know this already, hopefully. I love weird movies. I love to feel uncomfortable when I'm watching a movie. I mean, like the content, it can't be, that extreme. You know what I mean. Weird, but like, stupidly weird, absurdly weird. Absurd. That is the word of the hour, half hour, however long this episode goes. Yeah. I love the guy. I really, really do. And I love this movie. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, enough chit-chat. My own chit-chat. Okay, I mean, okay. Look, no! Plots and ups. Are you ready? Okay. The Exterminating Angel. So I just, really quickly, Louis Buñuel wrote this movie and directed it, and he thought up of the story with a man named Luis. No, not a man. I'm sorry. Wait, was it a man? Oh, yeah, it was a man. Why did I freak out when I said that? I'm sorry. I get sensitive about that. I don't want to misgender people by accident because it happens to me all the goddamn time. Luis, Alcoriza was his name. Okay. It came out in 1962. It's black and white. And here we go. I also don't recognize anyone in the movie, so I'm not even going to mention the actors. I recognize one of them. Whatever. Okay. After a night at the opera, Edmundo and Lucia Nobile are having 18 wealthy acquaintances over for a dinner party at their lavish mansion. The servants inexplicably begin to leave as the guests are about to arrive, and by the time the meal is over, only Julio, the majordomo, is left. Majordomo is kind of like the head of staff in a very rich establishment, kind of like Downton Abbey. Well, that's English, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like the boss of the maids and the butlers, boss of the maids and the butts. Lucia cancels a planned surprise involving a bear and 3 sheep upon discovering the guest Sergio Russell does not like jokes. But there are a few strange occurrences, such as the guest somehow entering the mansion and going upstairs twice, Edmundo repeating his toast to the opera singer Sylvia, and Christian Ugalde and Leandro Gomez greeting each other 3 times, as strangely, cordially, and antagonistically. What the flippity F does that mean? Fuck, I mean, sorry. I don't like to... Okay, I'm trying to not curse, but I clearly can't do it. What does this all mean? Are you weirded out? Are you confused? You should be confused. It's weird. It's weird. So everybody keeps repeating stuff. It is very much... You know how, like, when you dream sometimes, you will continually repeat stuff? I do, at least. I have a whole Word document with dreams that I've had, dreams and nightmares. Sometimes when I wake up, if I have a dream, I'll go rush to this Word document and type it all down. Yeah. Lindsay Lohan's in a lot of my dreams. She hasn't been in one in a while, and I don't really know that. I guess maybe because she was my childhood crush, so maybe some child in me is still crushing for her. I don't really know. Anyway, this is not about me. Yeah, it's weird, though. There's a bear and 3 sheep walking around this big mansion, and nobody really, like, seems to care or notice, and it's just, it's bizarre. The guests mingle before adjourning to the salon I said salon weird, salon to listen to Blanca play a piano. Oh my God, piano sonata. I'm like piano by Paradisi. When she finishes, she says she is tired, and several other guests indicate they're about to go home, but no one does. Instead, without discussing it, the guests and hosts settle in and spend the night on the couches, chairs, and floor of the salon, preventing Lucia from sneaking off for a tryst with Colonel Alvaro Aranda, while Julio sleeps at the table in the dining room. So they're all rich, and they're not the most likable people. There's a moment where these two guys are talking and they hear like a window smash, and one of them yells, "What was that? Was that a Jew?" Cringe. Hashtag cringe. Hashtag cringe. In the morning, it is discovered that Sergio is unconscious. The hosts and some of the guests wonder why no one attempted to leave the night before. A few guests try to exit the salon, but they all turn back or become distressed and stop before crossing the threshold. When Julio brings some leftovers for breakfast, he is trapped as well. What is going on? By that evening, everyone is on edge. I would be too. They are using a closet as a toilet and have run out of clean water. Had to burp. Raul blames Eduardo for their plight, but Leticia, been a while since I pronounced Spanish words, so, Leticia, defends the host. Sergio dies during the night, and Dr. Carlos Conde and Alvaro put the corpse in a closet to prevent the sight of it from further worrying their peers. What in the friggin' fuck? A crowd of onlookers, police, and soldiers gathers outside the gates of the mansion over the following days and finds no one is able to enter, though there is no physical barrier. Yeah, so people can't go in and people can't come out. Nightmare. The trapped individuals get water by tapping into a pipe in the wall, but their good manners continue to deteriorate. A growing number of them become ill, and Dr. Conde has no medicine until Edmundo shows him a stash of opiates, which some of the guests sneak for themselves. They're all losing their minds. They're completely going crazy. At a particularly heated moment, the trapped group sees the 3 sheep and bear roaming the mansion. The sheep wander into the salon, where they are caught and roasted on a fire in the middle of the room. While the food calms things down somewhat, it does little to raise spirits, and Eduardo and Beatrice, a young engaged couple, kill themselves in a closet. One night, all of the nobiles' servants are drawn back to the mansion. Inside, Raul has convinced most of the other guests that their predicament will end if Edmundo dies. Dr. Conde attempts to reason with them, and a fight breaks out. The doctor, assisted by Alvaro and Julio. Edmundo and Leticia come out of the curtained-off area they've begun to inhabit. Lucia is now openly with Alvaro, it's worth mentioning here. And Edmundo offers to take his own life. He gets a small pistol he had hidden, but Leticia tells him to wait. She says all of the people and furniture are in the same spot as the night of the party, and has Blanca play the end of the piano sonata, and everyone repeat the conversation that followed. This time, when Blanca says she's tired, the group finds they can leave the salon and then the mansion. Huh? What? The members of the small crowd outside see them exit and are able to pass through the gates to greet them. To give thanks for their salvation, most of the group from the salon attend a Te Deum, I'm not Christian, it's a Latin Christian hymn, service. Afterward, neither the clergy nor the church goers can leave the cathedral. So it's happening again. Sometime later, the military fires on a group of people and drives them away from the cathedral gates. A flock of sheep enters the building as the screams and gunshots continue. It is an amazing shot. The frickin' end.
Parece que esto va en serio. Están apagando las luces. Ha llegado el momento de tomar una decisión. Debemos irnos ahora mismo. Si los demás están ebrios o se han vuelto locos, que se queden.
Bueno, pero esto ya es inconcebible. Si no fuera por el respeto que debo a nuestros anfitriones, me gustaría dar una lección a ese majadero.
Estas ropas tan rígidas son para las estatuas, no para los hombres, sobre todo a las 5 de la mañana.
Eso de quitarse el frac, ¿no crees que se están excediendo?
No olvides que Leandro vive en los Estados Unidos. Además, a esta hora en que el cuerpo alcanza su máxima depresión. y con esta temperatura tan agradable.
Estoy segura de que cuando recapaciten sobre su conducta se sentirán avergonzados.
Es seguro. Y quisiera evitarles ese bochorno. Pongámonos a su nivel para atenuar un poco su incorrección.
It's a wild, weird movie. So why did I love it so much? Okay, the imagery is just fantastic, so phenomenal, so out there and weird. I mean, like, Louis Buñuel was such a visionary, really. I can't wait to review An Andalusian Dog because he and famous painter Salvador Dali like collaborated on that movie. So you can sense you can see a lot of Salvador Dali in The Exterminating Angel as well. Amazing imagery. I mean, things just don't make sense. Things get really weird and wacky and disturbing, but you kind of can't look away. And it is absurd. Saying the word again, it is absurd. There's a scene in the beginning when they're watching the woman play the piano sonata where this woman reaches into her purse and pulls out these feathers and these rooster legs, these chopped rooster legs. There's no explanation. What? What? Like, for real. For real. It's so WTF. And even just the shots of the sheep and the bear walking around and then they kill the sheep. And then there's also, I didn't even talk about this. This wasn't even in the description. I forget which character. There's a lot in this, but one of the characters has this nightmare / hallucination. Like, you can't really tell which is which, where there is this like Addams Family style, like severed moving hand, just like crawling on the ground by itself, like trying to, touch her and get her. And like, there's a shot where, she thinks she stabbed it. And then she's like, she has her hand in her head and then you just suddenly see the hand like come up from underneath her hand to caress her face. It's like a nightmare. It's just such a nightmare. So I loved it. I loved weird movies. Even when I didn't understand what was going on, like, Louis Buñuel has managed to create such an entertainingly, batshit film. And I also love this movie. I'll get into the politics of this in a moment. But, I really like movies that make fun of rich people. I just do. They're funny. I always think about The Rules of the Game. The Rules of the Game was a really famous French movie from 1939, I think. 1939. I mean, France and all of Europe, World War I had happened. World War II, depending on when the movie came out, had not really happened yet, But already there were all these tensions and everything. And that was a film that really just poked a lot of fun at rich French people, when it was controversial, because this was, during bad times where France wanted to be looked at as really good. And this was a movie that said, no, I'm going to make fun of you, because this is how a lot of people act there. I wasn't there, so I don't know. I just go by what the history books say. But, The Exterminating Angel, though, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of just these people are so, kind of despicable and unlikable and unsympathetic and are just so narrow-minded, and all they care about is themselves and these lavish parties, and they're saying anti-Semitic things, and they're all flawed. They're all, like, they look perfect, but they're not. I think that's also what I love about movies. When you see a perfect setting, you see richness, you see richness in setting and costumes and makeup and everything, but that deep down behind the makeup, behind all of that, is something really depraved and dark, It's a genius movie. It's just a genius movie. And I'm going to talk about the ending. I love the ending. I did not really understand the ending with why the sheep run into the church while everybody's trapped inside, but let's get into it. I'm really excited about this one. Let's talk about BTS Secrets and Scandals. BTS Secrets and Scandals! This is not actually, this isn't a scandal. I just wanted to talk about what the ending means, because, Louis Buñuel, he never explained this to anybody, so he's left it up all these years later for film historians and film critics to figure it out. What does the ending mean? What does this movie mean? So Roger Ebert loved this movie, and he had a lot to say about not just the ending, but what this movie is about. Now, he thought this whole movie was a metaphor for Francisco Franco's fascist Spain. Louis Buñuel was like very critical of Spain, the government and the war and all of that. So even though this movie is supposed to be in Mexico, I believe? No, it's in Mexico. Sorry, brain fart. Even though it's supposed to be in Mexico, Ebert believes that this whole movie was supposed to be, a metaphor for... I just said that. Okay, here's what Ebert says. Sorry, I was trying to summarize that and I fucked up. So Ebert said, obviously, the dinner guests represent the ruling class in Franco's Spain. Having set a banquet table for themselves by defeating the workers in the Spanish Civil War, they sit down for a feast, only to find it never ends. They're trapped in their own bourgeois cul-de-sac, increasingly resentful at being shut off from the world outside. They grow mean and restless. Their worst tendencies are revealed. I can see that. I believe that they're supposed to be the ruling class because, remember in the beginning of the movie, the staff of this family, they managed to leave, They managed to get out. So it's like, this is almost kind of like punishment for the ruling class. I can totally see that. I also found this great article by Cinephile Fix. And this is by somebody named Whale Carey, Wael. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right. They said, regarding the ending, after they escape, the guests end up trapped once again in a church, which implies that the angel now wants them to break free of their religious habits now that he succeeded at breaking them free of their high-class manners. So what they're saying is that this whole movie is meant to be really religious, and the angels are... Basically, there's an angel. There are people from up above, heaven, whatever, hell. They're trapping the ruling class in this place, in this room, in this building, this house. They're punishing them, and they're not really killing them, though, in a way. Like, that's why that they have the sheep in the house so that they can eat it. Because what this person says is, in both the salon and church traps, the angel sends them sheep so they could eat and survive. So this also relates to the title of the movie. The title of the movie, The Exterminating Angel, the title of the movie refers to the angel who killed the firstborn child of Egypt. And so in order to make some sense of the movie, one could consider the fact that the same angel may be punishing those high-class guests. The Prince of Egypt, great movie. Sorry, that's like the first thing I thought of. But yeah, I believe that. What do you think? Leave your comments right here. This is why when I love movies, I love ambiguous movies like this because I totally see both sides. And Louis Buñuel, you're a genius and we will never know what happens. So that's fascinating. That just adds to the mastery of the ingenuity of Louis Buñuel. Okay, now for real trivia, facts, scandals, secrets, blah, 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 whatever. Marilyn Monroe visited the set while she was traveling to Mexico. In Mexico, I mean. Yeah, I would love to have met Marilyn Monroe. Oh, I just want to give her a hug. Louis Buñuel has this fact, whoever wrote this fact, what is wrong with you? Louis Buñuel has publicly stated that he considers the film a failure and that if he had shot it later in Paris, he would have gone more extreme with it. Parentheses, cannibalism. Yeah, that's actually what was written, what I found. Louis Buñuel did not like this movie. He wished that there had been cannibalism in it. Would have been a lot more disturbing. I think it still would have been a masterpiece, though. Buñuel expressed frustration in regards to the film's low budget and the lack of amenities available on set in Mexico. So that's also why he wasn't happy with the film. As an example of these hardships, Buñuel recalled that the film operated on such an austere budget that he could not even afford to purchase fine table napkins for the dinner party scenes. Didn't even notice that. Nor could such napkins be easily obtained in Mexico at the time. He was only able to procure one such cloth napkin for a close-up shot of the dinner table when the film's makeup artist brought one from her home. Oh, Buñuel, don't beat yourself up, man. I did not even notice that. No, I did not notice that. The scene where a bear and 3 sheep appear during the dinner party was based on a real incident at a dinner party that Buñuel himself once attended in New York. That is horrifying. That's also really dangerous. You should not have a bear with sheep because the poor sheep are probably going to get mauled to death. Bears will eat you. I know this. I love, you know me, I love reading about animal attacks, preferably in movies because in real life they are really scary and it's sad. But bears will eat you. They're terrifying. Do not go near a bear. Anyway, wow, got me emotional for a second. Many of the scenes were largely improvised, notably the scene in which a sheep is blindfolded before it is slaughtered. Yeah, I could sense that. I think in watching this movie, you can feel like a lot of it's nothing is really blocked in this film, which I love because it adds to the surrealness of it so much more. Even though you never see them open in the movie, Louis Buñuel insisted that the closets were full of clothes during production. Scandal, indeed. The title was taken by a friend. The title was taken from a friend of Buñuel, José Bergamin, who was writing a play with that title but never finished it. When Buñuel wanted to title his film the same, he asked for the rights of the title from his friend, but he answered that there was no trouble because it was taken from the Bible, the Book of Revelation. But, according to Buñuel, the title did come from the Bible, but it was also a reference to both the Spanish cult, the Apostolics of 1828, and a group of Mormons. Thanks to the critics, I now know that it's probably a reference to the exterminating angel from Egypt. The exterminating angel who killed the firstborn in Egypt. The movie, this is crazy, was banned in Russia because the idea of people not being allowed to, quote, leave a party was considered offensive and anti-government. What? It's just nuts. The film cinematographer, Gabriel Figueroa, frantically approached Louis Buñuel. Have I been saying Louis the entire time? Louis Buñuel. Have I literally been saying Louis this entire goddamn time? Oh my god. Louis Buñuel. Kill me. God damn it. Well, I'm not going to restart this episode. I'm already near the end. Louis Buñuel once... Okay. It's not a big deal, Matt. Not a big deal. The cinematographer of the movie. Okay, he approached Buñuel once he had seen the final cut of the film with concerns that there were several instances of repetition, something he was sure was an editorial mistake. Louis Buñuel assured him that the repetition was a creative choice and reminded him that he edited his own films. The director recalled that Figueroa, the cinematographer, remained skeptical that the repetition was purposeful and not an editing mistake even after his explanation. Genius. So Buñuel, he even fooled people, and I love when people do that. I mean, if they're nice and do it, that seemed a little innocuous, if you ask me. The best moment. Probably the scene with the Addams Family hand. I was cackling. It was that moment where I literally had to go, am I smoking weed right now? What is going on right now? I don't even smoke weed, but did somebody drug me? I mean, what is the... I loved it. Yeah, the hand scene, and that final shot of those poor little sheep running into that church to probably be, if my theory is correct, sacrifice to the people in there. Oh, genius.
Mais est-ce que je suis d'accord avec les critiques de ce film?
Or as they say in Mexico, estoy de acuerdo con los críticos? I think I got that right. Estoy de acuerdo. Okay, pretend I didn't say that. So yes, what do critics have to say? Well, they think it's a classic. Ebert, like I said, called it a macabre comedy, a mordant view of human nature that suggests we harbor savage instincts and unspeakable secrets. Savage indeed. This also is just a fun example of, when we're fighting for our lives, we really do become savages. Nicholas Bell of IonCinema.com called The Exterminating Angel an important masterpiece amongst a filmography littered with them. The movie is effectively administered social satire, scathing and lethally subversive. Very scathing. Very, very scathing. Yeah, if you're rich and you're not nice and you're rich and you watch this movie, be careful. Look out. Because you may get locked in magically. and there may not be sheep in there. Yasser Medina of Cinephilia said, this is a film in which Buñuel, with a surrealist aesthetic, magnifies a sharp satire on social classes and the chiaroscuros of the human condition. I always forget what chiaroscuros means. I learned that in my humanities class senior year of high school. Time out. What does that mean? I'm also talking loudly because a big, long, loud ambulance truck is going by. Hello? Okay. Chiaroscuro is the use of strong contrast between light and dark. Oh, duh. I knew that. I did know that. I was, messing with you. No, okay. Yes. But the human condition. Yeah, because the human condition, black and white. Not everything is so black and white. I think I get that. Dennis Harvey of 48 Hills called the movie a microcosm of a decadent society's collapse. Yeah. Collapse indeed. Christopher Noel. I am like... I'm really sorry. Christopher Noel, Null, of filmcritic.com, said, in typical fashion, Buñuel offers no explanation, but the way your head spins around the simple premise makes each scene more fun than the last. Yeah, you see, that's a great line right there. Great sentence, because that's the thing about this movie. There are some surreal movies, there are some weird movies that I grow so impatient with, but in this film, Buñuel understands that he's a filmmaker at the end of the day, and when you're watching a film, you should be riveted in some way, you need to be. And in this movie, he does that. He does not make this a really slow, pretentious work of art. It is just, it's gripping. It's a very gripping film. And I'm certain that even if you don't really love movies as much as I do, I really think that you will get a kick out of Luis Buñuel's film.
Is it really one of the best movies of all time?
I am 100% saying so. This movie is so old. I mean, 1962, for a movie to be this daring, this out there, this, provocative. I mean, I should mention, too, there's some kissing in this movie and some heavy petting, if you ask me. I mean, for 1962, wowzers. That's pretty... That's audacious. Yeah, no, but that's not why this movie's great. This movie is just phenomenal for its unbelievably surreal imagination and really just peculiar sense of humor, peculiarly morbid sense of humor too. It's like, I've mentioned that this movie may make you nervously chuckle, but it is also just a very brutal and kind of scary film. And it gets you thinking. You're not going to get it the first time you see it. I think, it's a movie, it's one of those films that you have to first watch for the visuals and then watch it a second time to try to decipher what, the meanings are, what it's trying to say. But all in all, it is a classic, and I thought it was phenomenal. So check it out. Thank you all. And I do apologize if... I just apologize. I feel like I need to apologize. Because I'm a fraud. No. Thank you all for tuning in. I will catch you next time on this podcast. In the meantime, get your ass off the couch and go to the goddamn movies, okay? I don't care if you have a spelling tournament the next day and you're a kid, okay? Study while you're at the movies, okay? Before you go into the movie theater, go into the bathroom, get your little homework, get your little index card, sit on the toilet, and study then, okay? You have time. I don't care if you skip the previews. I love the previews. I will punch you if you are driving me to the theater and we're going to miss the previews, but you're not me, I'm not you. Do what you want with that, okay? I don't care if you miss them, but please just go. You can practice for your spelling bee the next day, okay? And there's also, just cheat, okay? Just cheat if you need to. I know it's not good to cheat, but if you do it one time, it's okay. Just go to the movies. Please go to the movies. Please, you guys, go to the movies, 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 and say Luis Buñuel's name right. Okay, cool. Bye! Oh, you made it. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of I'm Reviewing Here. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Fridays. You can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at I'm Reviewing Here. You can also subscribe on YouTube. New episodes drop there the same day they drop on the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Please leave a review if you'd like. Be mean, be nice, hit on me. I don't really care. Candor really, really is important to me, and, it helps the podcast too. So I really hope you enjoyed it. This podcast is brought to you especially by Nervous Chuckles. That is my fake production company because I make people nervously chuckle all the time because they never know if I'm telling a joke or not. So they're always like, do I laugh? Do I not laugh? Is he serious? Is he insane? Did he get out of the loony? What's going on? So if I made you nervously chuckle, then that means that I did my job, and thank you. There is no funding for this podcast, but if you want to give me money, then hit me up. DM me. Bye-bye.